If you've ever been in a situation where someone made you feel like you were too much or not enough at the same time, this is for you, because you gave everything, you showed up, you cared deeply, you tried to be understanding, patient, flexible, forgiving. You justified the silences, the confusion, the inconsistent words that never matched the actions. You stayed because you saw potential, not reality. But here's the truth that no one says loudly enough. The person who can't appreciate your presence is teaching you the value of your absence. And that's a painful lesson we don't want, but sometimes need the most. Most people don't fall for who you are. They fall for the version of themselves they get to be around you. And when that version doesn't feel enough, they run. Not because you're not lovable, but because they don't know how to hold someone so emotionally available when they're still emotionally unavailable themselves. You keep thinking that if you had done one thing differently, answered that text faster, looked a little more detached, played a little harder to get, it might have worked, but real love doesn't need you to perform. It needs you to be you, raw, whole, present, unfiltered. Let's get really honest for a moment. You're not heartbroken over them. You're heartbroken over the fantasy of who you thought they could be, over the hope you wrapped around their red flags, over the version of you that tried to earn love where it was never safe to give it, because somewhere along the way you learned that love was something you prove, that if you just showed how loyal, understanding, generous, and forgiving you were, someone would finally stay. Someone would finally pick you. But the truth is, the wrong people will never pick you no matter how much of yourself you pour out to prove your worth. This isn't about them anymore. This is about you. It's about reclaiming yourself, worth from the places you abandoned it just to feel chosen. It's about learning to walk away from what drains you, even when your heart wants to stay, especially when your heart wants to stay. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of letting go. A version that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't need to convince anyone of your value. A version that stops writing love stories in people who only showed you the first chapter and disappeared. You've probably heard this before. If they wanted to, they would. And it's true. But let's go deeper. If they could, they would. But not everyone has the capacity to love at your level. Not everyone is ready to meet you with presence, consistency, and depth. And that's not your failure. That's their limitation. Sometimes closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself when you finally accept the reality over the potential, when you stop rewriting their excuses into empathy, when you stop breaking your own heart to make room for someone who never truly showed up. You're allowed to miss them and still move on. You're allowed to feel sad and still decide to choose yourself. You're allowed to forgive them and still never open the door again. Growth doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you no longer abandon yourself because of what you feel. They were never your home. They were the storm that taught you how to build one within yourself. And now it's time to stop standing at the edge of someone else's emotional immaturity, hoping to be let in. You belong where love doesn't come with conditions. You belong where you don't have to guess how someone feels about you. Have you noticed how the longer you stay in spaces that don't value you, the harder it becomes to believe you're worthy of more? That's not love. That's emotional erosion. It slowly wears away at your confidence, your boundaries, your joy, until you forget what it felt like to feel seen, to feel safe, to feel enough. Let that be your new standard, peace. If love costs your peace, it's too expensive. You might think you're scared of being alone. But what you're really scared of is being with yourself fully, without distraction, without someone to text, without a maybe to hold on to. But that's where your power is, learning to become your own source of validation instead of outsourcing it to people who keep you on emotional layaway. Because when you finally choose yourself, you stop fearing rejection. You stop chasing after people just to feel worthy. You realize that the right person won't make you question your enoughness. They'll remind you of it. They'll protect it. They'll see you and stay. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. You don't need more advice on how to get them back. You need the courage to stop trying, to stop shrinking, to stop hoping for a message that might never come. What if the silence is the message? What if the unanswered text is the closure? What if the no-show is the sign? You deserve effort, not excuses, energy, not uncertainty. You deserve someone who doesn't just like the idea of you, but shows up for the reality of you every single day. Until then, you walk, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because the longer you stay somewhere you've outgrown, the more you lose touch with the version of yourself who was never meant to settle. That version is still inside you, quiet, exhausted, but waiting for you to stop romanticizing inconsistency and start respecting your own emotional needs. This isn't about getting over them. This is about coming back to you. To the you before they made you feel like love was something you had to earn. Before you started dimming your light to fit in their shadow, before you forgot how whole you already were. The more you heal, the less attracted you are to confusion. The more you grow, the less entertained you are by games. Healing doesn't mean you don't miss them. It means you're no longer available to abandon yourself in order to keep them. There's someone out there who will meet you with clarity, who won't need to be convinced, who won't make you feel like you're asking for too much when you're just asking for consistency. But you won't find them while holding space for someone who's never going to choose you the way you deserve to be chosen. Sometimes you outgrow people before you outgrow the feelings you had for them. That's okay. It means you're evolving. It means your standards are rising. It means you're finally choosing you. The people who are meant for you will not require you to betray yourself to keep them. Let go, not because they were bad, but because you were finally ready to be better to yourself. There will come a moment when you stop looking for their name in your notifications, when your heart no longer jumps every time your phone lights up. That moment won't be loud, it won't feel dramatic, it will feel like peace, like breathing without effort, like realizing you finally don't need them to come back to feel whole again. That's what true healing looks like. It's not the absence of missing them, it's the presence of self-respect. It's choosing to respond differently to the same triggers that used to break you. It's the moment you choose silence over chasing, stillness over overthinking, detachment over desperate hope. You deserve to be loved by someone who doesn't make you doubt how lovable you are, someone who holds your hand in public and protects your heart in private, someone who listens not just to respond, but to understand, someone who doesn't just say they care, but proves it consistently through presence, not promises. But before you meet that person, you have to become the person who doesn't settle for less, who doesn't confuse potential with reality, who doesn't keep reopening the same wound and calling it loyalty, because every time you settle, you tell your heart that it's okay to be half loved, that your standards are negotiable when you're lonely, that your needs are too big and your boundaries are optional. Stop treating attention like it's affection. Stop letting breadcrumbs keep you at the table when you deserve the whole meal. You weren't made to starve emotionally and call it love. You weren't made to beg for clarity in relationships that leave you with more questions than answers. You are not difficult. You are not too much. You are not intimidating. The right person will see your depth and lean in, not pull away. They'll love the fire in you, not try to extinguish it. They'll match your energy, not make you feel crazy for having needs. If someone is unsure about you, that's your answer. If they keep you confused, they're not your person. Love doesn't play games. Love doesn't run hot and cold. Love doesn't show up when it's convenient and disappear when it gets too real. Love is steady. Love is safe. Love is a choice, made over and over, not when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Every time you choose to stay in something that hurts, you teach your nervous system that pain is normal, that inconsistency is love, that walking on eggshells is romantic. It's not. That's survival mode disguised as a connection. You don't want butterflies, you want peace, because butterflies are often just your trauma recognizing something familiar. Start choosing what's unfamiliar. Start choosing what's calm, what's secure, what's boring to your anxious mind, but healing to your soul. You don't need more proof that they weren't right for you. You need to stop doubting the proof you already have. You need to stop calling it a phase when it's been a pattern. You need to stop labeling red flags as challenges to overcome. This isn't a movie. You're not the exception. You're not here to fix people. You're here to grow, to heal, to rise. And sometimes growth means grieving the version of you that used to believe chaos was love, that used to accept the bare minimum because it felt better than nothing, that used to pour endlessly from a cup that no one else ever bothered to fill. You are worthy of love that doesn't feel like a battle, of a relationship that doesn't drain you, of a connection where you can exhale instead of hold your breath, waiting to be chosen. And if right now you're still healing, if you're in that in-between space where you're not who you were, but not quite who you're becoming, let this be your reminder: healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll cry. Some days you'll want to call them. That's okay. Don't judge your healing. Honor it. Because every day you choose not to go back, you rewrite the story. Every moment you choose yourself over a temporary fix, you heal deeper. Every time you close the door on something that hurt, you make space for something that can hold you. So stop romanticizing what broke you. Stop rereading the same chapter, hoping it ends differently. You are not stuck. You're just scared. Scared to let go of what's familiar, even if it's hurting you. Scared to face the unknown without the crutch of someone else's attention. But the only way to feel real freedom is to let go. To let go of the story you've told yourself about who you are and what you deserve. To let go of the fantasy you clung to because the reality was too painful to accept. Let go with love. Let go with grace. Let go because your future self is begging you to choose differently. You'll never attract what you're truly worth while staying attached to what you've outgrown. That's the truth. Love that is meant for you won't require you to shrink, to explain, to chase. It will recognize you. It will feel like coming home. But before it can arrive, you have to create space. You have to be brave enough to sit in the stillness, to stop running to distractions, to stop texting people who don't truly see you, to stop answering calls from the past when the future is trying to reach you. You'll know you've healed when you stop needing their apology to move forward, when you stop replaying the moments where you felt discarded, when you can look back and not ache, but understand, not regret, but respect your growth. This is not just about love. This is about the relationship you have with yourself, the standards you hold, the peace you protect, the worth you finally remember. You are not here to be chosen by people who can't even choose themselves. You are not here to fix what you didn't break. You are not here to chase what keeps running. You are here to rise, to rebuild, to reclaim your energy, to redefine what love looks like on your terms. And it starts with this moment, with choosing not to text back, with not checking their profile, with not waiting for a sign. The sign is already here. You're just afraid to read it. But the moment you do, truly do, you'll remember who you are. You are the peace you've been begging someone else to give you. You are the clarity you kept hoping would show up in their mixed signals. You are the love you thought you needed from them. And when you finally meet someone who reflects all that back to you, not because you needed them to, but because you already gave it to yourself, that's when it will feel real. That's when you'll know it's safe. That's when you'll stop questioning if love exists and start living like it does. You didn't lose them. You found you, and that's always the greater gain.